The headlines for tonight: the government arranges chartered flights for OFWs returning from the Middle East.
More Filipinos have been repatriated amid Middle East conflict.
Vice President Sara Duterte calls for respect to the Philippine law and sovereignty on his father's arrest anniversary.
National Security Council Chief Eduardo Año files additional cases against 18 former Marines legal counsel.
And the Philippine government are in talks to the Portuguese authorities to bring back former lawmaker Saldico. Good evening, bringing the latest news for tonight. I am ALVIN PELOBELLO.
And I am KRIZZA Lopez. This is Eurotv News Thread. The details on our broadcast. Amid the continued turmoil in the Middle East, the Philippine government sees a slight easing of restrictions, allowing for chartered repatriation flights for overseas Filipino workers.
According to President Ferdinand Marcos Jr., the government is currently arranging 2 flights, one from Riyadh and another from Fujairah. The details on this report.
The Philippine government is now arranging charter flights for the repatriation of overseas Filipino workers from the Middle East, according to President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. Speaking in a press briefing in New York, the president said the situation for air travel in the Middle East has slightly eased, allowing the government to prepare flights for Filipino workers who wish to return home.
Ang maaari lang natin gawin ay iuwi yung mga gusto nang umuwi. And for that, we have made many arrangements. We are arranging charter flights kasi medyo lumuwag na ang sitwasyon. Yung lumipad na Emirates coming out of Dubai, nakatatlong flight na yata tayo. Dubai-Manila yon, mga Dubai-Manila. So that's direct. And yun, naisakay natin yung mga ibang Pilipino. But now that the Emirates has decided that it is safe enough for them to fly, and it should be safe enough also for us to charter airplanes na para maisakay yung mga ibang Pilipino na nais umuwi.
The president said the government is considering arranging 2 flights, one for OFWs in Riyadh and another for those in Fujairah. He also noted that land borders from the United Arab Emirates and Israel are being considered as possible routes to facilitate the return of Filipinos.
And there are 2 flights that we are planning. One is out of Riyadh para sa mga nasa Saudi, sa Qatar, Kuwait, and Bahrain. Yung isa naman out of Fujairah in the UAE to transport yung mga Dubai OFWs.
President Marcos has also ordered officials from Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines or CAAP and Migrant Workers Secretary Hans Leo Cagdac to assess the safety of Filipinos in the current situation in the Middle East. Meanwhile, President Marcos is planning to certify as urgent his request for emergency powers from Congress. This specifically seeks special authority to temporarily reduce or suspend the excise tax on petroleum products.
Actually, I will declare it as urgent because there's no point declaring it as urgent before the committee report has been completed. And that is what I told them, both houses. And I said, the minute that you have completed your committee reports, because when you declare a bill as urgent, the shortcuts, if you say, only begin on the plenary debates.
On Tuesday, the House of Representatives already approved the President's request following the implementation of big-time oil price hike on petroleum products the previous day. This is KRIZZA Lopez for Eurotv News.
The Department of Foreign Affairs has reported that 9 Filipinos have safely repatriated from Iran amid the crisis happening in the Middle East. Agencies immediately provide assistance to the distressed OFWs. More from this report.
The Department of Foreign Affairs has safely repatriated 9 Filipinos who requested to be evacuated from Iran amid escalating tensions in the Middle East. They are the first batch of repatriates from Iran who were evacuated to Turkey. According to the DFA, the evacuation of Filipinos from Iran was made possible with the assistance of the Philippine embassies in Tehran and Ankara, Turkey, which facilitated their land crossing and immediate repatriation back to the Philippines amid security situations in the region. Meanwhile, about 30 Filipinos arrived in AEN Terminal 1 on Tuesday from Oman, including stranded workers from Dubai and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Many Filipinos have requested to be evacuated from the Middle East due to the escalating tensions caused by the exchanges of airstrikes by the U.S.-Israel military forces and Iran. During the attendance of President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. at the United Nations General Assembly session, the chief executive outlined the Philippines' effort towards peace while calling for the prioritization and respect to the rule of law and human rights amid the continued tensions in the Middle East. Marcos has assured to repatriate and help Filipinos being affected by the conflict. The Department of Migrant Workers assured there is a rapid response team to assist overseas Filipino workers affected by the conflict in the Middle East.
Importante at tagubilin ng ating mahal na Pangulo, safety po ng ating mga kababayan. Hindi po natin pwedeng isugal dahil buhay po ito ng mga Pilipino.
What matters is yung Pilipinong nakauwi is a Filipino, an OFW that still needs to be served and must feel that we celebrate his or her return in light, especially in the context of what's going on. And most of all, bigyan ng tulong.
This is ALVIN PELOBELLO for Eurotv News.
Exactly 1 year has passed since the International Criminal Court, or ICC, officially opened its case against former President Rodrigo Duterte for alleged crimes against humanity. In response, his daughter, Vice President Sara Duterte, has called for respect for the Philippine Constitution and the nation's sovereignty. Mia Layagin has the report.
Today, March 11, marks the 1-year anniversary since the arrest and surrender of former Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte to The Hague, Netherlands, through an arrest warrant from the International Criminal Court, or ICC. In remembrance to this, the Duterte family and their supporters held a Bring Him Home Mass in Davao City and continued calls and prayers for his release. Vice President Sara Duterte's message on this day centered on calls for respect on the Philippines' own rule of law and sovereignty as a free country with its own justice system. This is in line with the family's belief that Duterte was illegally arrested and kidnapped.
Ang naganap na extraordinary rendition o kidnapping kay dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte ay isang seryosong paalala na ang batas ay hindi dapat ginagamit bilang sandata para sa politika o personal na interes. Ang pagyurak sa karapatan ng isang individual sa pamamagitan ng mga irregular na proseso ay hindi lamang pag-atake sa katarungan, ito ay hamon sa ating pambansang soberanya.
VP Sara argued that a true democratic country should be run by its own institution without being affected and dictated by external forces. She added that no Filipino shall be deprived of protection and justice from his or her country's constitution.
Ito ay isang panawagan para sa ating lahat na manatiling mapagmatyag. Kailangan manatiling malaya, tapat at matatag ang ating mga institusyon laban sa anumang pagsubok na baluktutin ang hustisya. Walang sino mang Pilipino ang dapat pagkakaitan ng proteksyon ng ating saligang batas. Sama-sama nating itaguyod ang isang Pilipinas kung saan ang batas ay kalasag ng katarungan at ang ating soberanya ay iginagalang ng lahat.
For Congressman Paulo Pulong Duterte, the arrest was not a mere political event for their family, rather a portrayal of a father taken away from his children and grandchildren. He called this a betrayal from the goodwill their father granted to the Marcos family when he allowed the late President Ferdinand Marcos Sr. to be laid at libingan ng mga bayani. He added that instead of respect, they were repaid with betrayal and injustice when it surrendered FPRRD to ICC. The lawmaker further emphasized that the Filipino people will not forget and will continue to demand accountability from those that allowed this to happen to FPRRD. This is Mia Layagin for Eurotv News.
Economic leaders from the Southeast Asia have gathered in the Philippines to discuss the region's economic priorities and challenges. The meeting also aims to strengthen cooperation and finalize key economic initiatives among ASEAN member states. Here's the report.
The Philippines, as the chair of the ASEAN 2026 Economic Ministers Retreat and related meetings, commit to continuously maintain cooperation among the countries in Southeast Asia towards more productive and developed economic environment. Trade and Industry Director Marie Sherilyn Aquia made these remarks on the official kickoff of the ASEAN Senior Economic Officials meeting held in Taguig City on Wednesday. The senior economic leaders of the ASEAN is set to review issues amid evolving global challenges and present recommendations towards economic prosperity goal in the remaining 2 days of the regional bloc discussions.
To carefully review the issues before us, resolve as much as we can at our level, and present to our ministers recommendations that are clear, actionable, and where possible already agreed. In short, the success of the upcoming ASEAN Economic Ministers Retreat begins here.
Amid the threat to the economic environment brought by various conflict, not just in the Middle East, but in different regions, the ASEAN said that the environment remains unsettled in the Southeast Asian countries. But due to cooperation, discussions and dialogues, the regional bloc worked together to mitigate the impact of the differences emerging across the globe.
Our discussions also take place at a time when the global economic environment remains unsettled. However, even amid uncertainty, ASEAN's experience has shown that working together remains our greatest advantage.
The ASEAN Economic Ministers meeting will prioritize the finalization of the Priority Economic Deliverables or PEDs, digital initiatives, regional stability, among others. Under the PEDs is the trade and investment, digital transformation, micro, small and medium enterprises or MSMEs, creative industry and innovation, including sustainability and economic resilience.
Our region has always moved forward through cooperation, dialogue, and a shared belief that our collective strength is greater than the sum of our individual efforts.
The regional bloc senior economic officials will also convene a special dialogue to mitigate the possible effect of the oil crisis amid conflict in the Middle East, economic environment threat, including investments and businesses across the countries in the region. This is ALVIN PELOBELLO for Eurotv News.
Senate President Pro Tempore Ping Lacson has finally responded to the series of criticisms directed at him by Senator Rodante Marcoleta. The exchange stems from disagreements over Senate rules and issues linked to investigation into alleged corruption. More details from this report. Senate President Pro Tempore Ping Lacson has finally broken his silence regarding the series of criticisms directed at him by Senator Rodante Marcoleta in several of the latter's privileged speeches. According to Lacson, Marcoleta's attacks may have started after he pointed out what he described as the senator's immature interpretation of Senate rules. This was in relation to Marcoleta's argument in his motion seeking to dismiss the impeachment complaint against Vice President Sara Duterte.
Ewan ko, Mr. President, simula nang nasopla ko si Senator Marcoleta sa floor, ay tila nagtanim na siya ng poot sa kanyang dibdib.
Lacson also pointed to what appeared to be Marcoleta's resentment after he presented in the Senate the results of their own investigation into the flood control project scandal. He said their only intention was to assist the Senate's investigation into corruption, particularly under the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee. Marcoleta earlier said in a television program that making independent statements was not allowed and that Lacson's remarks were already unnecessary.
Yan ang sinasabi ng isang taong nakasalamin sa hating gabi na yung nag-epal siguro. Yun ang pasikat, di ba? Yan ang sinabi niya, Mr. President. Mr. President, tulad ng kanyang motion to dismiss, nag-imbento na naman ng hilaw na rule si Senator Marcoleta. May natapakan po ba akong ego sa aking privilege speech na naglahad sa kauna-unahang pagkakataon ng mga konkretong ghost at substandard flood control projects.
Lacson also described Marcoleta as a mouthpiece of China and of the Diskaya couple. Marcoleta, however, strongly condemned the allegations made by his fellow senator. It can be recalled that during the investigation into the flood control scandal, Marcoleta stated that former Bulacan engineer Bryce Hernandez had more credibility than the Diskaya couple.
Of the Diskayas. This inquiry remains valid and grounded, and I can show you from the many occasions he stood for in support of the Diskayas.
Marcoleta also described Senator Lacson as too special after he was allowed to deliver part of his speech before discussing several proposed measures. The senator complained that Lacson appeared to receive different treatment in the Senate compared to other lawmakers.
Speech, wala na si Senator Lacson. Ganun po pala siya ka-importante.
Majority Leader, I think you should answer that particular
Yes, Mr. President,
statement.
Yung privilege speeches, alam mo, dalawang linggo na lang po naiiwan with due respect to Senator Marcoleta. Talagang tinutulak natin yung legislation. Una, yung privilege speeches, we put always, and it's been a practice in the past, in the tail end of the discussions, because the privilege speeches can take up a lot.
Marcoleta further described Lacson's remark against him as ad hominem attacks, saying these statements divert attentions from the issues that the public expects lawmakers to address.
Yun po ba ang gusto niyong mangyari, Ginoong Ping Lacson?
Negative po. Sigurado hindi po yun.
Bakit
kayo
po
naglilist, sino ba po nagsimula nito? Nung una pong privilege speech ninyo, hindi ko na sinagot kasi ayoko magkagulo. Pero enough is enough. Kahapon, nanonood ako sa aking opisina, gusto kong bumaba, kaya lang malalim na ang gabi at ayoko maabala yung trabaho sa Senado. Sagutin niyo po. Totoo po ba o hindi yung ating napanood sa mga video? Totoo po ba o hindi yung aking mga binanggit?
Lacson, for his part, insisted that he no longer wants to hear Marcoleta defending China in relation to the disputed West Philippine Sea.
Alam po ba ito ni Senator Lacson, yung Administrative Order number 29?
This is something between the chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee and the gentleman from Tarlac and Pampanga, Mr. President.
Hindi po, tinatanong ko po kayo.
No,
kasi,
I don't know Administrative Order number 29.
Hindi po ninyo alam, sasabihin ko sa inyo.
I don't need to know, Mr. President. I'm not interested.
Hindi po kayo interesado sa isang bagay na napaka-importante sa ating bansa? Hanggang ngayon, hindi ma-drawing ang West Philippine Sea. Hindi kayo interesado?
Hindi po ko interesado sa sinasabi ninyo.
Maring hindi po kayo interesado sa sinasabi ko.
No,
ngunit ang sasabihin ko, interesado ang buong Pilipinas. Sapagkat ito, dito nakasalalay po kung sino nagsasabi ng totoo. So ayaw po ninyong malaman ang totoo, Ginoong Lacson?
Kasi po, Mr. President, ang ipapalabas na naman niya, yung China, may karapatan dyan sa lugar na yan. Kaya ayoko na po marinig kasi ilang beses na po natin narinig yan, medyo masakit na sa tenga.
Meanwhile, Senate President Tito Soto clarified during a press briefing that there is no Senate rule specifying when a senator may deliver a privileged speech. He also denied that Lacson was given a VIP treatment when he was allowed to speak at the start of the session.
The night before, so pagtayo niya, nagsalita siya. That's not the VIP treatment. Hindi totoo yun.
This is KRIZZA Lopez for Eurotv News.
National Security Advisor Eduardo Año has filed additional cases against the so-called 18 ex-Marines who accused several officials of receiving alleged kickbacks. The cases included cyber libel and perjury, following claims linking Año to corruption in the flood control projects. Mia Layagan returns.
National Security Advisor Eduardo Año on March 11 filed before the Department of Justice additional cases against so-called 18 ex-Marines as well as their lawyer Attorney Levito Baligot. The new cases include cyber libel and perjury against the said individuals after they implicated him in receiving alleged kickbacks from flood control projects. It can be recalled that the group identified themselves as former personnel of resigned lawmaker Zaldico, disclosing the alleged cash delivery scheme on some government officials. Among those tagged in the accusation of receiving cash is Anyo. Last week, Anyo have already filed complaints against the same individuals over violation of revised penal code on unlawful utterances and unlawful means of publication. Anyo denied the allegations, emphasizing that he has to defend his name and honor over malicious accusations. Aside from Anyo, former Senator Antonio Trillanes and ML Party List Representative Leila de Lima have likewise filed complaints against the same individuals after being implicated in the accusations. Following the revelations of the ex-Marines, the issue remains a hot topic among Senate members, with Senator Rodante Marcoleta and Amy Marcos arguing that these are serious accusations and that the chamber should investigate it now, especially that the issue may be connected to the flood control anomaly and corruption subject of Senate Blue Ribbon Committee's investigation last year. For Blue Ribbon Committee Chairperson and Senate President Pro Tempore Fan Pilofing Lacson, the credibility of the Marines are questionable to be brought to the panel. Lacson said that the committee may open an inquiry if the bigger picture regarding the ex-Marines becomes clearer. On the other hand, Senate President Vicente Tito Soto refused to give personal opinion over the matter. He, however, said that he is now giving the decision regarding the probe to the Blue Ribbon Committee members.
I'll leave it to the members of the Blue Ribbon and the chairman to whether they should be invited or whether to give credence or to give a platform to the people behind them. Baka din kasi ganun ang iniisip ng iba eh. Parang naghaharap ng venue lang yung kung sino-sino eh. Parang ganun eh. So, I'll leave it to the members of the Senate to decide whether it should be or not.
While he says he had not read the affidavit of the ex-Marines, he said he understands why some fellow lawmakers do not want to acknowledge the credibility of the allegations. Soto explained that to be able to deliver the alleged 805 billion pesos, it will take 5 years and over thousands of luggages for the group to finish the job. This is still aside from the other questionable premises of the accusations, including the credibility of the ex-Marines.
Ang malaw na pera sa gobyerno at sa buong Pilipinas from 2023 to 2025, if I'm not mistaken, 111 billion lang. Saan galing yung 700 billion? Tagilit, may mga murder cases, mayroong awol, mayroong dishonorably discharged. Ano yan, bibigyan mo lang ang issue siguro ng iba sa amin, bibigyan mo ng venue para siraan yung mga ibang tao na wala kang ipapakitang ebidensya. Diba? Ganun yung mentality ng iba eh. Ganun ang thinking ng iba eh.
He meanwhile clarified that the Senate is open to launch a probe, but it should undergo certain processes as cited by the rules of the chamber.
So, tinatanong ni Senator Marcoleta, pag may kaso bang ganyan, di natin pwedeng i-hearing. Sabi ko, i-refer natin sa rules.
Anong sabi?
Dahil ko, sabi ko, ako, nire-refer ko sa rules yung question niya. I cannot answer you, sabi ko.
Yun pala yun.
Hindi kita masasagot sa tanong mo. We refer it to the Committee on Rules. And now, the Blue Ribbon Committee is not only the chairman. May mga members yan. Kung ayaw ng mga members, 17.
70 plus the ex-officio.
Plus the ex-officio. Kung ayaw ng mga members, may magagawa yung chairman. Diba? So, kaya nga sabi, pinangamaganda yung ginawa ko. Refer sa Committee on Rules, decision na ng Committee on Rules. Kasi kaya naman tumawag anytime yan pagka gusto eh.
This is Mia Layagin for Eurotv News.
The Philippine government is now coordinating with authorities in Portugal to facilitate the possible return of former Congressman Zaldico. The former lawmaker is facing graft and corruption charges linked to an alleged multi-million peso flood control project anomaly. Henry Nicolas has the details.
The Philippine government is coordinating with Portuguese government to facilitate the possible return of former Ako Bicol Party List Representative Zaldico to the Philippines. According to President Bongbong Marcos, it's not that simple to bring back Ko to the Philippines. When asked by the media why the government seems to be struggling to bring back former Congressman Zaldi Co. The president explained that bringing Co back is not simple, as it requires coordination with authorities in Portugal, where the former lawmaker is currently located.
Bring him home, because that is not the way it works. We have to ask the assistance of the country where he is in, which is presently Portugal.
On November 2025, the Philippine government issued a blue notice against Co after the Sandigan Bayan declared him as fugitive from justice. The Philippines' application for red notice is currently under review, which would allow for his immediate arrest. Co is facing charges of graft malversation and indirect bribery involving an alleged 289.5 million pesos annually in flood control projects in Oriental Mindoro.
So that is what we have done. Naglagay na tayo ng red notice sa Interpol at patuloy ang ating ugnayan sa mga Portuguese authorities na pauwi na siya.
The president added that the government cannot simply send police to Portugal to make an arrest, especially since the Philippines hold no jurisdiction in that country. Co is also being pointed to as the alleged mastermind behind delivering suitcases of cash to a former government officials, according to claims made by the so-called 18 ex-Marines. Interior Secretary John Vic Remulla stated that they are now coordinating with the Portuguese government to facilitate the former lawmaker's immediate return. 9 of his co-accused were taken into government custody last November, while 6 more are still at large. This is Henry Nicolas for Eurotv News.
In an effort to reduce hunger and minimize food waste, the House of Representatives has approved a measure requiring large food establishments to donate surplus food. The bill aims to ensure that excess but still edible food reaches families in need instead of being thrown away. Vanessa Cleophas brings us the report.
House Bill 8043, or the Food Waste Reduction and Prevention Act, has passed the third and final reading in the House of Representatives with 247 lawmakers voting in favor. Under the proposed law, all large food establishments, including restaurant, hotels, fast food chains, food manufacturers, cafe, and culinary school, will be required to donate their edible food surplus or excess food fit for human consumption to accredited food banks. For supermarkets with 500 square meters or more of space dedicated to selling food will also be covered by the law. The bill aims to reduce food waste in the Philippines by up to 50% by 2030. Instead of discarding safe and usable food, these items will be given to families who continue to face hunger or cannot afford to buy food. To ensure that the donated food poses no health risk to the beneficiaries, all donations will be inspected by the National Nutrition Council and the Food and Drug Administration, or FDA. The Department of Social Welfare and Development, or DSWD, and local government units will identify food insecure families or individuals who will benefit from the donations. The law also prohibits the sale of donated food. Anyone caught violating or obstructing the free distribution of donated food will be fined at least 500,000 pesos. For a second or third violation, the fine ranges from 1 million to 1.5 million pesos, while for a fourth or fifth violation, it ranges from 2 million pesos to 3 million pesos. This is Vanessa Cleophas for Eurotv News.
With Holy Week travel expected to increase, transport authorities are reminding operators to prepare early. The Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board, or LTFRB, is urging public transport operators to secure special permits at least 2 weeks before the holiday rush. Catherine Landicho tells us more.
The Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board, or LTFRB, has reminded all public transport operators to submit their application for a special permit at least 2 weeks before the start of Holy Week. According to the agency, the move aims to ensure there will be enough public transportations that are available for passengers expected to travel during the observance of Holy Week. The LTFRB said one of the main requirements for securing a special permit is a valid and not suspended certificate of public convenience. The agency also stated that vehicles to be used must not more than 14 years old. In addition, operators are required to comply with authorized fares and clearly indicate the terminals at both ends of their routes to ensure safe, orderly, and efficient travel for the riding public.
Ngayong nalalapit na Holy Week, ipinapaabot ng Land Transportation Franchising Regulatory Board sa lahat ng mga operators ng pampublikong bus ang mahalagang paalaala tungkol sa aplikasyon ng special permit para sa nasabing panahon. Ang aplikasyon para sa Holy Week special permit ay dapat maisumiti ng hindi bababa sa 2 linggo bago magsimula ang mahal na araw. Para sa mga ruta na magsisimula o dadaan sa Metro Manila, ay dapat isumiti ang application sa Central Office at saka ito pagdedesisyonan ng board. Malagang siguraduhin na ang CPC ng sasakyan or franchise ay valid, hindi suspendido at hindi hihigit sa 14 na taon ang year model.
The reminder is being implemented under the leadership of LTFRB Chairman Vigor Mendoza II in coordination with the Department of Transportation headed by Secretary Giovanni Lopez and in line with the directive of the administration of President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. to ensure safe and sufficient public transportation services, especially during the Holy Week travel period. This is Catherine Landicho for Eurotv News.
To address the persistent shortage of classrooms in public schools, the Department of Education is studying a new blended learning setup. The proposed model would combine 4 days of face-to-face classes with 1 day of online learning. More from Vanessa Cleophas' report.
The Department of Education or DepEd is currently looking into the possible implementation of a 4+1 blended learning model which consists of 4 days of face-to-face classes and 1 day of online classes for students. This move is a response to the continuing shortage of classroom in many schools across the country which causes overcrowding among students. According to DepEd, there is still a classroom deficit of about 165,000 classrooms nationwide. This is far from enough to accommodate the growing number of students being recorded by the agency. During the League of Municipalities of the Philippines or LMP General Assembly, Education Secretary Sani Angara emphasized the important role of local government units in overseeing the construction of classrooms in line with the 2026 General Appropriations Act or GAA. Through the local government units or LGUs, it would be easier to identify which schools should be prioritized for additional classrooms. Education Department aims to construct 30,000 classrooms by 2028 under conventional procurement. Meanwhile, under the Public-Private Partnership for School Infrastructure Project Phase 3, 15,000 classrooms will be built in areas with large student population. Another 2,571 classroom units will also be installed in more than 1,000 municipalities. Aside from the planned pilot testing of the 4+1 blended learning model, the department is also studying the possible expansion of the voucher system for elementary or primary education. Meanwhile, during the LMP General Assembly, representatives from different municipalities also agreed to accelerate the construction of classrooms in their respective areas. It can be recalled that the DepEd had earlier reached agreements with provincial governors and city mayors for the construction of school buildings. This is Vanessa Cleophas for Eurotv News.
As fuel prices continue to rise, the Quezon City government is urging motorists to adopt practical ways to reduce fuel consumption. Catherine Landicho returns.
The local government of Quezon City has released a set of reminders and practical tips to help motorists to reduce fuel consumption amid the continued rise in petroleum prices. According to the city government, drivers can take several simple steps to lower fuel use and save money on daily transportation expenses. One of the key recommendations is to maintain the correct tire pressure. The LGU noted that vehicles consume more fuel when tires are underinflated. Motorists were also advised to avoid leaving their engines running for more than a minute while waiting, as unnecessary idling leads to wasted fuel. In addition, drivers are encouraged to control their speed and avoid sudden braking or rapid acceleration. The city government said these driving habits can increase fuel consumption by as much as 15 to 40%. The Quezon City government also urged residents to consider carpooling or using public transportation to reduce expenses and help protect the environment. The advisory was issued as global oil prices continue to rise, a situation linked to ongoing tension in the Middle East. This is Catherine Lendicho for Eurotv News.
More than 94% of villages in Pangasinan have been cleared from drugs, the Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency announced. PDEA Pangasinan Provincial Officer Dexter Asayco said 94.66% of the previously drug-affected barangays in the province are now cleared. Out of 1,272 drug-affected villages, only 68 barangays remain affected by illegal drugs. Authorities said the remaining villages still have drug personalities under monitoring. PDEA added that the establishment of Balay Silangan facilities is required in these areas as part of the process before communities can be declared drug cleared. The agency also said coordination continues with the Philippine National Police, Philippine Coast Guard, and other government agencies to prevent Pangasinan from being used as a transshipment point for illegal drugs.
Motorists traveling between northern and southern Metro Manila may soon experience faster travel times. The government says the connector for the Metro Manila Skyway Stage 3 project is expected to be completed by 2027. Graciela Corazon brings us more.
The construction of the Metro Manila Skyway Stage 3 or MMSS3 Project Section 2A, which will connect the North Luzon Expressway or NLEX, South Luzon Expressway or SLEX, and Skyway is expected to be completed by 2027. During the inspection of the ongoing MMSS3, Department of Public Works and Highways or DPWH Secretary Vince Dizon, Department of Transportation or DOTR Secretary Giovanni Lopez, Toll Regulatory Board or TRB Executive Director J.R. Tugade, and other agency staff attended. They reviewed the progress of the project's connector, which will greatly help speed up the travel of motorists from the north and south of Metro Manila and vice versa. According to the DOTR Secretary Giovanni Lopez, the travel of motorists will be faster once the MMSS3 begins operation.
Kapag natapos po ito, abutin lang po tayo ng 25 to 30 minutes. Ang benepisyo dito ay sinasabi natin, Pangulo, na we have to cut travel time upang sa ganun yung mga extra time, no, na yung mga oras natin na nasasayang sa trapiko, sa congestion, sa kalsada, we can spend more of it sa ating mga pamilya, kaibigan, o sa ating mga minamahal sa buhay.
He added that from the usual 2-hour journey, it will only take 25 to 30 minutes for vehicle to travel for Skyway Bendia to NLEX Karahutan, while it takes 20 to 25 minutes from Skyway Bendia to Port Area when its connector open in 2027. According to the agency, up to 30,000 vehicles per day will benefit from this. MMSS3 also has a 1.2 kilometers 2x2 elevated lane intersection structure that will also be an alternative route for truck that will potentially ease traffic flow on Road 10, Altura, España, and Araneta. The agency also closely examined the project's right-of-way issues after a 6-year delay its construction.
1.2 kilometers.
6 years?
And inabot ng 6 years. Again, the perennial problem is the right-of-way. And we are thankful also to our private partners, especially SMC, na talagang minamadali nila to at talagang yung malasakit at iniisip din nila ang ating mga kababayan.
The government is partnering with San Miguel Corporation or MSC to carry out the settlement of the right-of-way issues. This is Graciela Corazon for Eurotv News.
Tensions remain high in the Middle East as the United States claims to have destroyed several vessels suspected of laying naval mines in the Strait of Hormuz. The development comes amid fears that the vital global oil shipping route could be further disrupted. Son Santiago with the report.
United States President Donald Trump said that Washington has destroyed several mine-laying vessels at the Strait of Hormuz. In a post on his Truth Social platform, Trump said U.S. forces had completely destroyed 10 inactive mine-laying vessels believed to be capable of deploying explosive mines in the waterway. This statement was supported by the U.S. Central Command, which said American forces had neutralized not just 10 but 16 suspected mine-laying vessels near the strait. This development came amid reports that Iran may have begun placing naval mines in the area. Prior to the operation, Trump already warned on Truth Social that if Iran had deployed any mines in the strait, though he said that there were no reports, they must be removed immediately, adding that failure to do so would lead to further military action. He also said the United States is using surveillance and tracking technology to monitor and stop any ships attempting to place mines in the waterway. This warning was not the first time, as it follows earlier threats from Trump that any attempt by Iran to disrupt shipments through the Strait of Hormuz would trigger a 20 times much stronger U.S. military response. It can be recalled that Iran moved to effectively close the waterway last week, following the February 28 joint strikes by the United States and Israel as an act of retaliation. Iran said it would continue to block oil shipments through the strait until the attacks stop. Meanwhile, as fighting continues across the Middle East, the conflict has already taken a heavy toll, with hundreds of people have been killed across the region, international report says. Meanwhile, more than 1,300 people have been killed in Iran, with 10,000 of civilian sites reportedly hit by the joint airstrikes, according to Al Jazeera. This is Son Santiago for Eurotv News.
Fans of the hit Disney series Hannah Montana have something to look forward to. The official trailer for the show's 20th anniversary special has now been released, bringing singer and actress Miley Cyrus back to her iconic role. Sam Martos has the entertainment news.
The official trailer for the 20th anniversary special of the American teen sitcom Hannah Montana, which starred singer Miley Cyrus, has been released. It was shared through an Instagram post by Disney Plus, where Miley can be seen wearing her iconic blonde hair wig once again as Hannah Montana.
Wow! This show defined her generation. This anniversary is for them, it's for us.
The video also shows the singer looking back at the set of Hannah Montana, where her career in the industry began. It can be recalled that the Hannah Montana series began airing for 4 seasons between 2006 and 2011. The Hannah Montana 20th anniversary special is set to premiere on March 24 on the Disney Plus channel. Meanwhile, fans could not hide their excitement as they look forward to watch the anniversary special. This is Sam Martos for Eurotv Showbiz News.
And that's the latest news for tonight. For more news and information, you may visit EurotvPH.com. Once again, I am KRIZZA Lopez.
You may also catch our live broadcast through our social media accounts at Via Pinoy Extreme channel. I'm ALVIN. Thanks for joining us. This is Eurotv News Thread. Stay safe and have a good night, everyone.